Okay, could you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so my name is Eduardo. You guys can call me Eddie.
And I'm Kaylee.
Okay, very nice to meet you. I'm Dan. This is the Fall Risk Podcast. So we go around Philadelphia and we talk to people about Philadelphia, about life. What is one big dream you're currently chasing right now?
One big dream, I would say my biggest dream is to be in a place where I'm financially stable, where I can support my wife, I can support my kids, I can support my family. You know, I don't mind working as long as every now and then I can go ahead, take a couple of days off, enjoy it, you know, kind of disconnect. That's what I'm working for, and that's my goal.
Okay.
That's a great dream. I want to get a PhD.
Okay.
That's my dream.
So any specific PhD?
I want to get one in biology.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite aspect of Philadelphia? You're out here on a Philadelphia Saturday night. I'm sorry. What is your favorite thing to do or see in Philadelphia?
I think you were talking about it.
We're tourists here. We're from Miami, so we've been here. This is our second day here. I personally really like the community aspect of it. There was like a whole trick-or-treating Halloween aspect we saw at, I think it was Liberty Hall, I think it's called. Liberty Hall,
Yep.
They were offering like a trick-or-treating thing, and it was super cute that no matter where you went, there was someone offering you candy, and like it was a different experience seeing all the historic places of Philadelphia. It's not as big of a city as other places, but
Yeah.
I like the community aspect that they want to tie the communities together.
Absolutely.
I'd say like coming from a different place, right? Coming from Miami, it's a little bit of a city that doesn't have as much history as Philadelphia. So seeing how well built the city is, the public transportation that's already built into the city, the people, the community, how she was saying, it's certain things that you definitely don't see back at home. So
Right.
definitely something you appreciate.
Okay. Bit of weather change from Miami to Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
A little,
Yeah.
you gotta break out the winter coat that you probably
Yeah.
don't even own.
Second or third time you're using it, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys in town for the convention?
No, just for the weekend.
Okay, so last night I had a few people from Miami who were here for an anesthesiology convention. So you said you were looking for your PhD.
That's cool,
so,
though.
You know, that's cool. How long are you guys up from Miami?
Just until
Yeah,
tomorrow.
just the weekend,
Tomorrow night.
Okay. What is one thing you wish you could bring, like culture-wise, from Miami to Philadelphia? I go down Miami like every January and March. Like it's nice and warm there. I'm a snowbird, so you know. But what is one thing you wish you could bring, other than the weather?
Other than the weather, well, we are Hispanic,
Okay.
so we come from Hispanic descendants. So I think that's something that we definitely would bring. Like when you're in Miami, you can't walk or drive 5 minutes without finding a Cuban place, a Venezuelan place, you know, Colombian place. Here, of course, it's you know, definitely different. So I think that would definitely be the number one thing.
I agree. Although I've seen a couple of Hispanic joints, I saw some Cuban places, some
Yeah.
restaurants and stuff.
Saw the Mexican place too. Yeah.
Look good. I think the main thing would be for me the weather at least.
Yeah, no, I mean the weather has to be it.
I personally don't like the cold, but it's different.
It's definitely nice February and 70 degrees for
It's
sure.
nice right now. Like
Yeah.
it's warm during the day. You don't need like a heavy coat, but at nighttime it's a little chilly. You know, you gotta be close to the people you care about.
Yeah, but for example, like we were in Boston like a couple months ago.
Way colder.
Oh my god.
Way colder.
No, we're not used to it.
Okay. If you guys could have any superpower, what would it be?
I think I would have the superpower to become invisible.
Invisible.
Invisible, yeah.
I don't know. I've always thought about it, and I like the idea of like the power over the elements, like the earth, fire, wind, water.
That'd be cool, but I say being invisible, I'm the type of person, I don't know if it's just me, man. I mean, maybe I'm like a paranoid person. I like to know what people are thinking at all times, you know?
Okay.
At that point, just be telekinetic or something. Like
Yeah.
telepathic is the right word. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I would
Now-
rather have power over the elements.
Are you able to like turn the invisibility on and off, or are you just permanently invisible? Permanently.
That's a
No,
good one.
I would say turn it on and off. If
Okay.
you're permanently one or the other, you kind of gotta choose, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What is one thing you're currently like stressed about in life? Like you wake up every day and you're kind of like, I can't get over this stress. This is a normal, like everyday kind of thing.
I'm a teacher,
Okay.
so my thing is always like the way that kids are raised nowadays is definitely different than the past, and I have a lot of fights in my classes. So
Okay.
I wish that wasn't a thing.
Okay. I'll go kind of the same route. My job sometimes stresses me out. You know,
Okay.
I work loss prevention for Target, so a lot of times, you know, it's a job that unfortunately is very numbers driven and statistics. So if you don't got the numbers for it, you know, you're kind of looking like, oh, you're not doing that good of a job, you know. So a lot of times, yeah, that stresses me out, you know, especially when we're like in peak times, like Christmas, Black Friday, stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one thing that you see different from the kids nowadays from when you guys grew up? Like you said, you're a teacher. What is one thing that you say, like, the kids are raised differently, right? Like, what is something that you notice a huge dramatic change?
I'll say it's easy to say the whole attention span. It's definitely true. Like, I take away their phones every morning, and they
How
give me.
old are these kids?
I teach 9th graders, so
Okay.
they're 14, 15.
Yeah.
They will cry over taking their phone away for an hour mostly, because I usually give it back to them. They'll cry over the phone. They don't have that attention span that like our generation had. We could pay attention to things for longer. We grew up in the time where internet was coming about. Okay,
Okay.
we could all look at it. But now it's like you are born into the time of internet and you're looking at TikTok, the Instagram reels, the YouTube reels, and it's like you can't pay attention for more than a minute. I ask a student a basic question of something I've said 10 times a day, and they're still like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, pay attention for more than 5 minutes and you would know. The attention span is truly like the biggest thing. I don't know if the parenting style has become different lately, but I would say definitely the attention span.
Okay. Now, I remember, like, being in school and they saying about 45 minutes is when, like, your attention kind of, like, starts to dramatically decrease, right? Like, that's why they have lectures for, like, 40 minutes to an hour, that, like, after 45 minutes, your brain kind of, like, What do you think that is nowadays? You know what
I
mean?
swear it's within 5 minutes. It's less than 5 minutes.
That's crazy. So how do you structure a curriculum around that? Like, how have you adapted?
I've seen that it becomes a lot of like you're supposed to show individual care for each student. It's difficult because you have so many students, but you're supposed to tend to them individually, make sure that they're all on task and all that stuff. It's really hard. That's the thing about teachers nowadays. There's teacher shortages because of that, I feel.
So you saying that just like sets a fear into my mind. What about in the workplace? Like all these kids that you're saying will need individual attention. What happens in 10 years when they're all in the workforce? Are all those workers going to need individual attention? What does that do to a boss?
Because
Yeah.
the thing is that like, you brought up an amazing topic, because I personally feel that, you know, like someone who's on the younger side, managerial position, you get into, you know, your job every now and then, and yeah, like she said 45 minutes right now. I'm gonna be honest with you, there's been times where 15 minutes go by and your mind
I said
starts
5 minutes.
kind of wondering.
Imagine
yeah.
that. Yeah, I obviously think about the job aspect, but even quicker to think, I think of like the relationship aspect. How can you tend to a relationship when
That's
you
it.
can't pay attention for more than 5 minutes?
Yep.
When something constantly needs to be changing to hold your attention, how are you going to have a relationship with a human being?
Yep. And I
We're
think
not changing every 5 minutes.
The answer to that is something that I think it's different for everyone. You know, I think you need to find what motivates that individual. I think a lot of the times you're seeing a lot of younger people, you know, where they don't really need a teacher, they don't need a manager, they don't need that. They need a coach. They need someone that's motivating them, but also holding them accountable when they need to be held accountable, you know? So I think it's something where we just need to go ahead and progress with the movement, progress with the generations and how we're raising our kids. But I think it's something that like you're never gonna really have the 100% answer for.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is one big fear you have in life?
In life,
Yeah, like your biggest fear.
In life, I think being unhappy.
Okay.
I think being unhappy, you know, I think being in a situation where you're not happy with the life you built around yourself. And I think I actually have been thinking this for a while. I think this is something that we're going to go ahead and we're going to see a lot of in the future. You know, I think a lot of people are addicted to the pleasures you get from everyday life, right? Like the dopamine boosts you get, you know, from smoking a cart or smoking, you know, nicotine or you know, doing these things or drinking, you know, stuff like that, right? Where, you know, people are going ahead and they're getting used to these dopamine boosts and they're not learning how to, you know, progress with life and withhold a lot of things that, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like long-term gratification, you know? So I think that that's something that's being lost in this generation.
I agree. My personal fear is like not experiencing enough, which is something of like modern day people.
Okay.
That they just feel like they get enough experience through the internet. And I definitely don't feel that way. I feel like you can see a million things on the internet and it won't fulfill you as much as like going out and doing it yourself. I fear that maybe I don't get to experience enough things. That would be my fear.
What is one piece of life advice you guys could give out to the people out there?
That's a good question.
I got one though. I'll say,
I think I'm great at giving advice though.
what I'll say,
What
I
would
mean,
you
listen,
say?
I think her and I have been together for 5 years now.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you, thank you.
Especially in 2024.
In 2024, it's extremely difficult. And I think a lot of that is because we chose each other. You know, like times weren't always easy. We were long distance for a while too.
Okay.
You know, so it was a lot of moments where I feel like a lot of people would have quit, you know, but you continuously choose that person and you mold yourself into the person that they want and they mold themselves into the person that you want. And by doing that, you're molding yourself into the relationship that you've always wanted. You know,
I think the
and
thing with nowadays is that we're drowning in options.
Yeah.
So we feel like, oh, the second something goes wrong, the second there's a bump in the road with the person that we're dating or whatever, we're just like, I can find someone better.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you can find someone better in that one aspect, but unless you're willing to put in the work individually with every person that you interact with, you're not gonna get a better relationship. That's what I think. You have to be willing to put in that work.
Yeah, I agree.
It's always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah. And it's this whole concept of, oh, we could always find someone better. Better in what aspect? Unless you're willing to put in work and you're willing to like do stuff in that relationship, it's not gonna get any better.
I mean, you said it the other day when we were having dinner. I mean, you know, you build a sculpture this entire time, and a sculpture in front of you presents itself, and you're gonna destroy the one you've built throughout all this time to go build that one. You know, it puts things in perspective, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It used to be a different time. You would build, like you said, one another, right? And then you'd have one another's foundation to rely on. Nowadays, it's like you said,
Yeah.
you see
Yeah,
one better aspect and that sells you. You're like,
Yeah.
nah, everything else, not worth it.
Yep.
They got a nice car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice car,
Yeah.
nice face.
Yep.
It's literally like superficial.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
So,
definitely.
one of two things, right? The last one is, what is one piece of life advice you could give to people out there? Or what's the craziest thing you've seen while in Philadelphia the short time you've been here for the weekend?
I think mine is kind of lame. I don't know if you have a crazier one.
With what? The advice or the scene
No,
in Philly?
with the scene in Philly.
What's yours?
Like we were talking about before, like we're coming from Miami, right? I work a job where I'm catching shoplifters, right, for a living. Walking into CVS where I have to go ahead and I have to look for someone to open the box for myself to get the deodorant, that's crazy to me. That's something that doesn't happen back there.
So in Miami, they don't lock up the deodorant.
If you're going to like the downtown areas, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But if you're in the suburbs, most definitely not. Like you can go ahead, you can grab your deodorant, your toothpaste, and you can go check out by yourself, you know? So I think that was something where that was a little bit eye-opening for me.
I don't know. I kind of saw a guy laying down in the middle of like the side of the street. I thought that was pretty crazy. I don't know. It wasn't anything like too intense, but that was crazy.
Okay.
What about you? Life advice? Life advice. Don't get into a relationship too young. Definitely wait until you're older, maybe a little more mature to be in a relationship.
Okay.
It's that young people aren't necessarily willing, or they're more thinking about different things like the experience of it all. They're not willing to put in that work to make a relationship work.
Okay.
They're just kind of expecting the results to come with no work.
Yeah, I think like I mean similar to that, like with life experience, people do what you were talking about just because they want that dopamine boost that I was talking about earlier, right? You want to do the next new cool thing, right? Just because you want that dopamine boost, and at the end of the day, like that's all good when you're 17, 18, 19, right? Once you start getting 21, 22, you start getting a little bit older, that becomes different, right? And you got to start trying to regulate that and start trying to realize that, well, if I'm, going ahead and I'm messing up with my brain chemicals throughout the course of every single day for years, that's gonna mess my chances to be a happy human being when I get older,
Yeah, I'm a teacher. I teach 9th grade, so like 14, 15-year-olds. I had a student, a 15-year-old, come up to me and ask me like, oh, I have a personal question, whether or not I should stay with this relationship that's causing me problems. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense that you want to be in a relationship. You're young, you're experiencing new things. But do you want something that's going to be pushing you down in the time of your life where you're supposed to be pushing yourself forward? That's the thing. And he came up to me and he was like, oh, I have a new perspective for you. Everyone says that you want this high school experience, you want to date someone. And I said, yes, it makes sense to have that high school experience, but not if it's a negative one. No one's ever talking about, I want to have a negative high school experience. Not a relationship that's going to be bringing you down, making you have to be more mature than you are.
Discipline is the last thing I'll leave it. Discipline, everyone needs discipline.
Absolutely. Discipline and motivation
Yeah.
go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to give yourself a shout out,
Not really. I mean,
Not
we're
really.
just doing this.
all right, come
for
down,
fun.
visit Miami for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, come down, visit Miami, see what the city has to offer. Philadelphia is awesome, but
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys, for sitting down. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
thank you.
Stay good.